All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Tara Karaim. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the grants manager here at Arts KC. I will give you a little visual description for anybody just listening today. I am a white woman in my 30s. I have red hair and it's kind of pulled up in a bun today, and I'm wearing a green sweater with some white embroidery on it. Anna, did you want to introduce yourself?
I do. Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Fiorella. I'm the Senior Manager of Business Engagement with Arts KC, and Tara and I are co-managing the Community Gallery program together. So we're kind of two go-tos. My visual description, I am a white woman, also in my mid-30s. I have dirty blonde hair. Today I am wearing my glasses that are light brown rimmed, and I am wearing a striped sweater. And my pronouns are she, her as well.
Awesome. And we are here because this is our first year kind of rolling out the program, the gallery program in this way. And we just want to make sure everyone who wants to apply is on the same page and has an opportunity to ask us questions and learn more about the application and all that good stuff. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then we will jump in. It always takes a second for the person to share their screen. All right. So we already did introductions.
All right. This is Anna, and I will walk us through our agenda for today. So we'll try to keep the kind of formal presentation minimal, but we want to give you essentially the nuts and bolts about the community gallery program. So we're going to kick off giving you more of a summary about the program, update you or give you information about the timelines that you need to consider, and importantly, the eligibility for considering applying to this program. Part two will be again, the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of actually how to apply. We can talk about the application and the evaluation form that our committee will use to review all of the applicants' information. And then we'll run through some tips for a successful application. And throughout, we will pull the examples from our website, our webpage for the Community Gallery program, so we can also look at parts of the application and evaluation form as they exist on our webpage that you have access to throughout this process. And then we'll definitely leave time for Q&A. We want to have as much time for you all to be able to ask questions. So I think for today, I'm pretty relaxed about asking questions in the middle of things, but it might be easier. I don't know. I mean, if you have a question and you want to raise your hand, please feel free. But if it's something where it's maybe more specific to you and your application and your presentation, maybe just write that down or jot it down, and we can kind of wait until the end of the presentation to kind of tackle that question. But otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay, so the Community Gallery program, we created this in order to empower artists, arts organizations, and businesses to engage with the community and showcase art of any discipline through the shared use of our space in the Crossroads. So basically, just as you know, or as you can see here, this application is open to nonprofits, local businesses, and individual artists or groups of artists. And it can be of art of any discipline. We're looking to get some diversity in our space in terms of discipline and in terms of groups of people. And we aim to amplify underrepresented voices, activate the gallery space during peak months of visibility, and of course, support local artists and organizations.
Right. So some of the hard timeline and deadline considerations. So this application deadline is February 18th of this year, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. We're trying to give as much runway as possible for people to get those applications in. But, please email, we'll have an email address for the gallery showcase later in a slide. But if you feel like that deadline will be difficult for you to meet for any reason, just try to give us a heads up and we will try to help as we can. But please put that in your notes for the deadline. And we aim to have program participant or featured artist announcements in late March of 2025 after we've gone through our committee-driven review process. And generally, the calendar timing for this community gallery program will begin May of 2025 through November of 2025. That also falls in line with the First Friday activations and when we have a lot of lively events and momentum in the Crossroads Arts District. So we really want to capitalize on a lot of that attention in this area around that time, since the gallery is central to the Arts District. Please just kind of note that a standard our activation of this space is 1 month. But as you go through the application, you can also, you will be able to offer your availability in the application. So if certain months don't work for you, but you have certain months that are ideal, we'd like to know about that in your application, so that helps us understand how we can kind of put everything in order and calendarize. And we can talk about more of what that activation looks like and what, but just realize that we're really trying to give over the space for at least 1 month opportunities, if not longer. But please, cite your needs in your application as you move forward, so we really know and understand the resources you'll need to be successful.
Okay, so in terms of eligibility, if you're thinking of applying, keep these things in mind. We ask that all applicants live or be principally located in our 5-county region, which is Clay, Platte, and Jackson in Missouri, and then Johnson and Wyandotte in Kansas. Again, we're looking for individual artists, small groups of artists, nonprofits, or local businesses. And special consideration will be given to applications that prioritize empowering underrepresented voices, connections between arts and health, accessibility, and/or arts education. And all of these that I've just listed are initiatives that Arts KC has been prioritizing the last year and next year too. So that's why we're just looking for applications that align with our mission and some of our initiatives. But we'll go into the evaluation criteria a little deeper here in a bit too. That's just kind of an extra cherry on top if you're in one of those groups. And we'll kind of talk about that more in a second. And I'll go through these too, and feel free to elaborate, Anna. So we already had one info session in person, and these were some of the questions that were asked. So we kind of added a slide. Somebody asked about, if you are selected for the program, when will you have access to the gallery? And the answer is that we will give you a fob to the gallery, like a key fob. So you can hypothetically access the gallery at any time. We do have, we work in office during the week. And so as the gallery participant or the featured artist, we'll work with you to schedule around our office hours, and we'll kind of prioritize 8 to 5 Monday through Friday as Arts KC time. But in terms of weeknights, the weekends, those are usually pretty open for you to do programming and to come and go as you please. Also, someone asked about if we take commission from sales. So say you're a visual artist and you'll have work in the space. We do not take commission from sales. Say you're, putting on a concert and you sell tickets, we don't need to take any commission from tickets. So all the sales will go to you. We will help with marketing. I think we're planning to offer at least one social media post to each featured artist. But we can also, share anything that you tag us in on social media. If you put your events on our Arts KC Go website, our event calendar, we can feature that in our newsletters as capacity allows. So we will help promote. I don't think you should rely on us to be the sole promoter. I think your organization or as an artist, you'll need to do promotion yourself as well, but we can assist in that. Anna, do you want to talk about pricing and insurance?
Yeah. Sure. So just keep in mind that at this point in the inception of this type of program, we are charging $100 per month. And the reason behind that is we just it's not to make money, like necessarily we're never going to be able to, cover costs generally, and we're a nonprofit, so that's not our goal. But we really just want to be able to have skin in the game with our featured artists as well. And that just kind of helps just cover just very minimal cleanings from our janitorial staff and things like that. And if you have any public events, so let's say a First Friday event, which is going to be probably the norm for most of these. I would hope that you all want to take advantage of those First Fridays. Just keep in mind, we will need our participant or our featured artist or group to secure event insurance, which is a 1 day kind of a beginning and end of a timeline for the event, just to cover yourself, cover your guests, and just make sure that everybody's safe and that we have everything lined up. And we have some recommendations on where to secure that type of event insurance. And we've seen ranges in price anywhere from $60 to $150 per event. So please just keep these costs in mind. And we said in the last session too, if cost, or if this as presented feels like a barrier to you, we want to know about that, please, in your application, and we'll do our very best to make sure that we can support you through this. We don't want that to stop anybody from wanting to take advantage of this program. And as again, we're a nonprofit, we understand, and we want to make sure that we can make this an accessible opportunity for everybody. And I'll just follow up saying that we do not have a liquor license. So something that's pretty popular in a First Friday setting, especially, is having some, beer and wine available to guests. Or if you're having, a show or something in the middle of the week at night and you want to be able to have alcohol for your guests, just know that it cannot be sold in our space, but it can be given away with suggested donations or encouraged donations. So please keep that in mind. But we go over all of these details with you, especially as you onboard with us. So we have much more in-depth information about that for you as well.
And Anna, if a nonprofit is applying and gets selected and they already have insurance, what do they do for?
Yeah, there's ways that you can extend if you have a current business insurance, or if you're an LLC or something like that and you carry insurance, there's a way to extend coverage for episodic or one-time events through a certificate of insurance, or shorthand is usually a COI, and you add Arts KC as a covered entity for that duration of time. So it just extends your insurance to cover those activities. And similarly, of course, like I said, there's more in the weeds stuff about this, but if you're a homeowner, sometimes your own home insurance can support this. So if that's something that, when we get to that point, we can certainly support you in helping find those resources so that you're covered and we're comfortable moving forward.
Awesome. Any questions so far? We laid on most of the basics of the program. Just want to check in. All right, so we'll keep checking, but feel free to raise your hand or unmute if you have any questions for us. Okay. So next up is how to apply. So I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second while I kind of pull up our website. So if you haven't, actually here, I'll share so you can see where it's at. If you haven't checked out our website yet, if you go to programs and services up here at the top and over to the right, you'll see the Arts KC Gallery. So I'm going to click on Community Gallery Program. And most of the information that we just went through is on here. But what I'm going to do now is go to the application. So you'll see here the application is like embedded in the website, which is great because it's easy to find, easy to fill out. One thing is that you can't save your response in here and like come back to it later. So I would suggest maybe typing out the responses first and then copying and pasting them in. We have provided a Word document. I don't know can you see this if I put it here? No? Oh, you can. So, and it's in this weird format. Like that. Okay. You can see the questions are on here for you to, type your answers on your own. I've applied to a lot of things that don't provide this, and it like I myself am going through and copying, pasting all the questions, which can be time consuming. So we've made that for you, but again, you do need to submit it on the website. So it's the Word document is just for your own sake. It's not the official way to submit the application. Uh, so I just want to kind of go through this really quickly. So at first, we'll ask for your contact information. Then we ask about which category you're applying as, your ideal dates, as Anna alluded to earlier. And then the question is right here. Please share your vision for activating the gallery space. Underneath are all these questions within a question for you to consider. What are your goals? Are you doing any outreach to activate the space? How will this benefit you and the community? Are you prioritizing underrepresented voices, arts and health, accessibility, arts education? How so? Who's your team? How are you planning to market? Basically, this is your proposal. It's everything that you want us to know about what you're planning to do in the space. So that's the main question. The additional question is, how are you planning to make this accessible? And we do have some resources on the website to help you answer that question. Let's see if I go, sorry, not to give you whiplash here, I'm gonna put that away. If you go to accessibility, there are some suggestions for visual artists or for, there's a toolkit, so I would say read through this and see if anything works for your programming. And there's also additional websites, I think, or additional resources on the internet that you can reference when you answer that. But let me go back to the application here. Beyond that, we ask for 3 work samples. If you're not doing images, you can put links in a document so that we can watch any videos or listen to any samples. And then if you are applying as an individual artist, we'd like to see a resume, CV, artist statement, bio. And then the rest of this, providing a short summary, that's if you get accepted, we'll use this for our marketing and for our website and such. Same thing with this image. The last part of the application is optional. It's demographic questions that we will not use in terms of evaluating your application. This is simply for internal data keeping. So it will not affect your application. And again, it is optional. And I just want to pause and see if there are any questions about the application. No? Cool. I'll go back to our slides here. So yeah, again, don't forget to submit it on the website. There is a Word doc available for you, but it must be submitted online. Do you want me to pull this up, Anna, too?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead? Just to make it.
Okay, yeah. So firstly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant you mean the actual criteria. No, I think we could just stick with the slide.
Okay.
That's okay. So Tara was referencing, we actually have our evaluation criteria, like the way we will work through your applications for review on the website. So you can take a look at that on your own time. This slide is a summary of that. So we'll just stick with this. I think that'll be more helpful right now. So as in all of our other grant programs that Tara oversees at Arts KC, we are very committee focused, and we use community committees typically to make sure that evaluation of applications are equitable, and we just are covering all of those different facets with a lot of diverse voices at the table. And we're using that same approach here with the community gallery program in our evaluation. We're very excited to have one of our board members, Michael Toombs, who's an arts advocate, visual artist, muralist, storyteller. He's has a great bio. You should definitely check him out if you aren't familiar with Michael. He's on our Arts KC board, so he'll be our board chair for the community gallery program. And we also are very honored to have Jose Faust, who is a visual artist, performer, writer, and teacher and mentor across the region as our guest juror for these evaluations. So we're happy to have those two available. And then the rest of the committee will be driven by our Arts KC staff members, a select few of us moving through the evaluation process. But it's very helpful to have an evaluation form so that we all are assessing these applications in the same way and that they're all kind of calibrated the same way. But overall, the committee, we will be considering empowerment of underrepresented voices, as we've sort of described in our application and how you're proposing your projects and thinking about them. Activation of the space too, telling us, how you will be using the gallery and just some, letting us know essentially if there's anything that you're doing that would be, even a unique approach to kind of a traditional way a gallery is used. Personal and community impact. So really in these applications, and as in many applications you may approach for calls, talk about personally how this might be something of a powerful resource and tool for you, and then what this activation, how it impact the community, not only the Crossroads Arts District, but if you're seeing your work being broader in community impact too, we would just love to hear how you're thinking about your approach. And then feasibility as well. We want all of our participants, no matter if it's gallery or grantees, whatever, all of our programs, we want people to be successful. So we're going to be also thinking about the feasibility of your project in consideration of it, being part of the program. And then also, knowing our physical gallery space too, will that actually be feasible in our space? So something to consider too is like, if you are, a group or an artist who needs, if you're doing glass blowing and need certain ventilation, that's going to be very difficult, likely for us to accommodate in the space. Not impossible possibly, but we just need to know kind of what it is you're doing so that we, if there are those types of like hard considerations, we'll need to know about that. But just, keeping in mind the physical restraints or boundaries of this gallery. And we have information on the website of we have descriptions of the gallery, we have pictures, and we also have a floor plan. So you can kind of get an idea too of what it is and what it might fit in the space. And then special consideration are for projects that prioritize the connections between arts, health, accessibility, and/or arts education. Again, this is just an additional thing to consider. Arts KC, as the Regional Arts Council, we are very interested in working as with the arts in an intersection of these spaces. Arts education, we have been funders and investors in arts education programming, accessibility, and arts and health. So if those are priorities of yours, or if those are some things you've tackled in your practice or if the project that you're proposing or activation you're proposing is hitting on those themes, definitely include those in your application. We'd love to know about those. And of course, we want to we'd love to work with folks who are also working in that space, because it helps us amplify the work we're doing in the community. But it's not, if you're not working in those intersectionalities, it's not going to negatively impact you. It's just something we'd like to know as we consider all of the applicants.
Great, thanks, Anna. And I'm going to just show where that evaluation form is on the website. So under evaluation, it's to view the full evaluation criteria, click here. And so you can see what questions the committee will be prompted as they're reading through the applications. I think this is helpful. It's, sometimes you have no idea what the committee's looking for. So here it's really spelled out for you. So as you're creating your responses, I think this is worthwhile to look over and check out and make sure that you're kind of answering some of these questions. Okay, so our last thing here, our last slide, is tips for making your app stand out. Maybe? Can you see it? Mine's loading. Does yours say loading? That's funny. Okay, we'll just leave it like this. So first and foremost, be clear and specific. I think one thing that can be helpful is having a friend or having someone read over your application and just making sure that they understand it. Um, it's not necessarily being verbose. It's not necessarily being super concise. It's just making sure uh, that anybody who reads your application has a very good sense of what you're trying to do and what you're proposing. Um, Answer all parts of the question. So again, when we looked at that application, you can see that there's really one big question that's like your whole proposal goes in there. So make sure that you read through that carefully and that you're answering every little question within the question there. Also, don't underestimate the importance of your work samples, of your resume, of your CV, anything that you're attaching to the application. The committee will definitely be looking at all of those things and considering them alongside your narrative. And lastly, there's not a lot of opportunities to repeat yourself, but um, that's kind of advice that I give to people applying to grants, honestly, is even if you feel like, oh, I already answered this, answer it again, but maybe take that opportunity to give more information or to say it a different way so that your application doesn't sound too repetitive. And lastly, we always recommend starting early. That way, as you're writing, if you have any questions and you need to reach out to us, you have some time to hear back from us, or if you want a friend to look over your application, or anything can come up. And so it's always helpful to start early so that you're not also battling, with the internet at the last minute as you're trying to submit. And I feel like sometimes things can happen on the internet when everyone's submitting to something at the same time. So start early, get things in early, give yourself plenty of time. I always recommend that. And that is our presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and just see if anyone has any questions for us, or comments. This is the first time we've really formalized our community gallery program and had a formal call, and a formal committee. So we're open to feedback too. Go ahead, Winston.
No, I was just going to say thank you. This was very informative and helpful, and I appreciate you all taking the time to do this. That was
Awesome. Yeah,
Thank you,
of
Winston.
course. All right, I see a chat. Okay, Kathy says thank you. No
Awesome.
worries on the camera. We thank you for being here.
Tara, do you want to pull up the last slide as people might be thinking of questions? Because I do want to make sure that they can see some other opportunities if you can.
Of course.
So if you have any other questions, everybody just keep thinking, but we'll get this last slide up so you can kind of see some other things we wanted to call out.
See if I can share it.
There we go. Perfect. Oh, and that's our the dedicated web email address, I'm sorry, for the gallery specifically, and then for this program. So gallery@artskc.org. That goes to Tara and I. So if you have any questions or need some support along the way, just let us know. And then if you want, yeah, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to call out, we wanted to make sure you realized some other opportunities coming to the forefront from Arts KC. Advocacy Day is on February 5th. You can check out more information on our social media about what that is, but it's a fleet of representatives from the arts sector going to Jefferson City on next Wednesday. It's a full day extravaganza, and it is a very important way we can show a concerted front with arts advocacy, and really talk to our representatives about why it's so important to continue and increasing investment in the arts. And so the more representation we can get of our arts ecosystem, the better. So if you scan that QR code, you can see the registration information for that day. I will be attending. So if you're there, we'd love to have you, and we'll be hubbing and starting that process at Arts KC, and we'll have a bus going to Jefferson City. We'll provide you lunch and all the information you need in the bus ride, and then we'll be bringing people back by 5:30 to our space. And then Tara, do you want to talk about Inspiration Grant?
Yeah. So inspiration grants are open right now. The application is open. The deadline is February 25th. these are grants that are for individual artists or small groups of artists. So not for nonprofits, but rather for artists themselves. And they're project grants for art of any discipline. So you do have to have a specific project in mind that you're applying for. There's a lot of information about the inspiration grants on the website. And so I would go through that first. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at grantmaking@artskc.org. But again, the deadline for that is February 25th. So about a month away. And then the last QR code there is oh, go ahead, Anna, were you going to say that?
No, go ahead and finish up. Yep, that's okay.
The last QR code there is for our newsletter. I love being subscribed to newsletters. I just feel like it's a great way to passively see what organizations are up to. Whenever you get a newsletter, click on it. You can just skim through and see what's valuable for you. We send out opportunities at ArtsKC. We sent out updates about Advocacy Day and grant deadlines. Sometimes we even send out things that are coming up in general, other opportunities in the community. So it's a great thing to be subscribed to. I would check it out. And that QR code should take you right to that webpage very easily to sign up. I think that's all. Go ahead, Anna.
No, I was gonna say, does anybody have any other questions for us, whether it's about these opportunities or the gallery program? All right. Well, if it needs to simmer a bit, you know where to find, well, I hope you know where to find us. You can use gallery@artskc.org to submit any other questions that might come up as you move forward.
Yeah, thank you all for being here.
Thanks for being here.
And I'll stop sharing. Hopefully you got a chance to look at that QR code, but if not,
Thanks,
let us
Winston.
know. Bye,
Yeah.
Winston.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and be safe out there. Take care, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Definitely. Bye, everybody.